Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite dark sorcerer, practicing warlock, practicing necromancer, and ordained archbishop of the dark arts. All right. So today I am going to be doing a review of a couple of books. Okay. Let me just a second here. I got some stuff popping up here. There we go. All right. There we go. So today I'm going to be doing a couple book reviews. The first one is the Demonic Bible, put out by Tsirk, Susej, which is basically Jesus Christ spelled backwards and with a K instead of a C. So, Tsirk Susej is the founder of the Embassy of Lucifer. And he is a Luciferian Satanist, which is pretty cool because I happen to have a few friends and brothers who are Luciferian practitioners. So, anyways, trying to open this book up here real fast. So this book here was written, I want to say around 2011 area. I'm just trying to find the beginning section here that says the year or the publication of the book. I don't think there is one in this one. But yeah, he's got about 3 editions of this out. Okay. Now, first of all, I wasn't really a big fan of Aleister Crowley outside of the Book of the Law and Book of Lies. I really like those two books by Aleister Crowley. But outside of that, the only Luciferian practitioner that really has a lot of books out is Michael W. Ford. Okay. And that's just in Satanism, unless you want to get into witchcraft, and then there's really not much out there on Luciferian witchcraft these days that is actually authentic. But this book here, I really enjoyed this book, and it takes roughly about 3 hours to do every single ritual in this book. Okay. And that's straight to, from the front to back. Okay. And I would recommend that if you do get into this book, that you take the time to read it at least 3 times before you do any ritual. Okay, it's really not that complex. It's really straightforward. It's simplistic in nature because of the fact that right up front he talks about his philosophy. I mean, every author does, but it's more of the fact that he explains how we got the revelation of Thelema Zapier Dietas, which is basically to will into being or to become a god. Okay. Now, those of you who follow Anton Zandler LaVey's teachings, for an example, there is no God, there is no Satan. You are the God, you are the Satan, you are the devil, basically, in that system. Welcome to atheism, right? Not theism. But here, it's a lot different because what he did was he built upon Aleister Crowley's Thelema system, and he made it into a straightforward demonolatry book for invocations. Anybody who wants to get into demonolatry get into angelology and stuff like that, especially those of the fallen angels, such as Lucifer and Mammon, Azazel, Asmodeus, which technically he's considered a jinn, not an angel, but still, Asmodei, depends on the area of the world, Western or Eastern philosophy that you get into. But he's got a list of a lot of the powerful demons and angels in this book, and I really like that fact because he didn't go from the system that most occultism today do. Okay, they normally go from the Keys of Solomon or that of, say, the clavicle. Say the clavicle of Solomon, Solomonus, which is Latin, or that of the Constitution of Pope Honorius. Okay, the Grimoire of Pope Honorius. No, he didn't do that. In this one here, he went into basically the false hierarchy of demons. He went into the Grimoire of Armadale. That much I do know for a fact. And he also went into the Grimoire of the Sacred Magic of Abramelin the Mage. Okay, which a lot of today's occultists do not do. Okay, they always stick to the Goetic demons, the 72 Goetic demons, which were originally um, the 72 to jinn. The genies, depending if you're going from Africa or Middle Eastern. But I really like the way he wrote this out because he didn't just go into these short little essay type things and say, "Hey, this is how I did this. This is how I came into the embassy of Lucifer. This is where I came up with the demonic Bible." No, he didn't just do that. No. So roughly around page 85, he gets into concerning the rituals, and I really like that because not most people don't do it. They really don't. He ends up getting into a little bit of the Enochian keys through Edward Kelly and Dr. John Dee, and kind of get into the eons and stuff like that. I really like that. And he even puts the lunar cycles, and he also puts in some nightly rituals and stuff like that that needs to be done. And I actually concur with this, and it really resonated with me because of that. And basically, how should I say this to be frank and blunt? This is a kick-ass book, okay? And I will tell you that I've read this I don't know how many times. I first got this book when I lived in Clarksville, Texas. And I started that first night I did these rituals. I didn't break it up into 3 nights. I ended up doing it all at once, and the people I was living with got a little freaked out because they were, up until this point, they were neo pagans. So it was kind of funny because they got up to use the restroom about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sitting there talking in a very odd way because I invited them into my life to commune with me and to look at me as an ambassador, a vessel type thing. So apparently, I was carrying on a three-way conversation. And that's what they told me. Of course, I had no recollection of it, so they said it was ancient draconic, which was kind of cool. But anyways, getting back to the book, it it really gets into some very good things because once you get to page 101, this is where you're really getting into the ritualized aspects. Ceremonies, rituals, they're there for a reason and they work. Okay? And like I said, he really dubs it down. He keeps it simplistic. And on the night you begin the rituals of the demonic Bible, prepare a bath with salt water, light black candles, light incense, and recite the incantation, excuse me, to the Dark Lord. Okay? And then he says, I wrote the following invocation for my own use when I decided to re-begin the rituals of the demonic Bible. You will, of course, have to write your own invocation, but this should serve as an example. Okay? And I like the fact that he actually puts his own work in there. Not many authors, not many practitioners who have written books put their own rituals and rites in their books. Alistair Notch put a few in his books as a theistic Satanist, but he didn't really, for the most part, outside of the satanic rituals and satanic magic books, go into any rituals. But this book is a compendium that you must have. Okay, if you're into demonolatry, spiritualism, and wanting to work with demons. Okay, Belimer Zapier Dietas. I have willed to come into being as a god. This is the law of the eon of Lucifer. This is the law of the eon. And he goes into like three paragraphs here. And he begins on the third one down, says, Dark Lord, consecrate this work which I begin this night. Instead of going out and saying, hey, ruler of this earth, come work with me, bestow upon me what is mine, basically, like the atheistic Satanists do. Nope. Even the Temple of Satan does this stuff, and it's like, no, doesn't work like that. But he goes into the spiritual bath, and he goes into how to do it, how to prepare it. And then on the next page, you have the renunciation and proclamation, to which you recite 9 times. You go into the Lord's Prayer backwards, which is Psalms 23 or 24. I think it's 23, if I remember correctly. And then the pact giving of mind, body, and soul, the ritual of consecration, the invocation of the unholy Trinity, the triumvirate, as I call them, and have come to know them as, the invocation of the unholy Spirit, the invocation of the 9 lords of the abyss, the invocation of your unholy guardian demon, the 4 kings, which are Mahaziel, Samael, Corzon, and Zimame. Okay? And that's all before you get into the invocation of the 4 crown princes of hell, which are Satan, Lucifer, Belial, and Leviathan. Okay? And then you go into the 8 sub princes of hell and unlocking the 9 keys, the 9 locks. You go into invoking the Antichrist, the vampire, the werewolf, the lycanthrope, the ghoul, the even Legion himself, themselves, and all before you get into the 72 Djinn of Babylon. And it goes in from there and goes into much older traditions such as the Zoroastrianism with Tiamat, the dragon of chaos. I really like that, how he brought this in. And he even gives a lot of names of the jinn, which ironically mimic that of the Goetic demons, but not all of them. And then you get into becoming the Dark Priest and meeting the Lord of the Underworld, Queen of the Underworld, the whole king caboodle. And then you get into the planetary aspects, which a lot of practitioners don't do. And he gives spirits that will go under there. Now, personally, for me, a Sharu is a very good spirit to work with. Nibiru is another one, and you also get to work with one of my favorites to work with, which is, and I'm going to bring it right up here because I want to read this to you as soon as I can get here. And then Asaru, right here. The truth name is Asaru. That is Asaru, for those of you who are interested. The power, this power has knowledge of all plants and trees. Okay, so if you're if you're an herbalist or a shaman, this spirit is one that I would recommend to you. Okay, especially if you're getting into alchemy and learning to put elixirs and other concoctions together. Okay, powders even. This spirit can actually help you there and can make marvelous fruits to grow in the desert places. And no land is a waste to him. He is truly the protector of the bounty. His word is Baal Priku. Okay, Baalpriku is the word of power. Okay, think of it like a whisper. Okay, you can say it as loudly as you want, chant it. You can even bring it down into a whisper. Say it once and say, "I speak the word of Balpriku." Okay, to call forth a sorrow. Okay, just like that. Okay, or you could just, like I said, chant it. Either way works. One of the other ones that I like to work with is Shazu, Shazu, and this is the 18th name. Knows the thoughts of those at a distance, as well as those in the vicinity. Nothing is buried in the ground or thrown into the water, but this power is aware. His word is Mashshanana. That is Mashshanana. Okay? And his seal is this. So he literally draws the symbols to go along with each of these spirits. And I really enjoyed that because I've had the time to work with just about all of these spirits. So, moving on, the last thing he does in this one here is Marduk, the invocation to any of the names of Marduk. And you can find all the 50 names of Marduk in the Necronomicon by Simon. Okay? If you go back into Zoroastrianism, if you can actually read Mesopotamian and all that stuff, then you'll be able to find it quite easily. But personally, the English variation is just as powerful. So Simon's Necronomicon is the one to go. I recommend all the books by Simon when it comes to the Necronomicon. I've had nothing but good luck with them. And then you have the Ritual of Descent, which is roughly about 7 gates. And I'm talking Erishka Gal, Azag Talk, Lilith. I know there's quite a few people on social media and YouTube that like Lilith and doing research on her and working with her. So, a sister of mine actually loves working with her. So, that's pretty cool. Nin Ninin Giza, which is Niningphisa. And then you have Kingu, which is Japanese. Love Japanese culture. Ketulu, Ktullu, and then Apsu, again, going right back into Zoroastrianism, okay, and Middle Eastern lore. Love that. And that's all before the invocation of the Ancient One Tiamat. Okay, so I want to kind of just read to you one of these rituals, these invocations, so you get what I mean by the simplicity of this this author, this practitioner's rituals. And I will start with I'll do the Lilith one, which is the third gate. Lilith, I invoke thee. Lilith, I summon thee. Lilith, I conjure thee. Come forth, Lilith, and manifest thyself within this body, this temple which I have prepared. Come forth, Lilith, and manifest thyself. Open wide the gates that I may cross, open wide the gates that I may descend into the realm of chaos. Come forth, Lilith, and manifest thyself. Come forth, Lilith, and manifest thyself. And then you drink from the chalice. Okay? And then, like I said, the very next one after the seventh gate, which is Absu, is the invocation to the ancient one, Tiamat, the dragon of chaos. And that one was a very, very potent rite. First night I did that, I used white candles for a purity type thing. Not black candles, but white. My brother, Brian Snelling, he, which I haven't talked to in a while, a long while, um, he did the same rites, and he ended up using black candles. And he said after the first night of doing it, he was exhausted. So I said, try white candles. Because you got to remember that white is a representation of purity of your intent. It is the honesty, the clear notion of what you're trying to do. It is the honesty aspect. So when you're invoking these demons, you know, in Satanism, you want to use black candles and white candles, but you can also use red candles. Red is a color of passion and desire. So you can substitute a white candle with a red candle if need be, but it can't replace either one. Now, personally, I like working with the white candles because my intent when I work with these spirits, with these demons, it's pure, you know? So, because I want to learn from them. And then, like I said, he goes into the spirits of abomination starting on page 189. And he literally goes into quite a few. Now, the one that I enjoy in this one is Lalassu, which is Lallassu. May be called, which also haunteth the places of man seeking to become like man. This is its seal. Uh, Another one is Lilith, may be called who invades the bed of man. This is her seal. But I really liked working with that one because when I work with my clients, when my clients want a relationship with, say, a connection to somebody, she's basically this spirit here. Lilith is the one that I call upon, and it really does work. And then he puts in on page 192 the invocation of any of the abominations of chaos. He gives an example, very very good examples. And then he goes into the spheres, and again, a lot of people, again, does not use the spheres. They don't use the planner, the planner aspects of the universe when conjuring spirits and doing ritualized works. So to see this in Turk's usage, his book, this is a grimoire that is worthy, in my opinion, and I highly recommend it. And I'm going to read the names off so you can actually understand the angles between the worlds. You got a preliminary statement, and then you have Set, Short, that's Tchort, it's a spelling, Shiva, Kali, Orion, Gorgo, Demigorgon, Shaitan, and Melectorus, all before doing the rite of entering the 666 dimension. And from there, you got the grimoire of Abramelin the Mage, which he puts in here as well. Okay? Every list of the demons, their ranks, and everything. And he goes into, like I said, the Enochian keys. He gives them from both Anton Zandelavay and that of Dr. John D. and Edward Kelly. And then right at the very end, page 221, you have the 30 Aries. That's Ayres. Okay? And then you got the final rituals. Okay? which is waging the war on the heavens and proclaiming the new eon. Okay? Initial statement, that is a very potent one, and I would recommend completing every single ritual and rite in this book before you get to these last two. The initial statement and the general invocation for calling any of the spirits. And again, the spirits which may be called is a whole slew of them. Okay? So I do recommend Turk Susej's book. I highly recommend it because he gives the realm of chaos. He gives the nine locks of the abyss, the material world, the planetary aspects, the astral spheres, the upper heavens, the Aries. I mean, he gives it all. Okay, this guy has clearly put in a lot of work and a lot of time in his book to writing this. He put a lot of thought into it on how he wants to publicize it and put it out there for the public use. Now, I'm sure that this is not everything he's done because, let's face it, no magician is going to share all their secrets. Now, as for this other book, Summary of the Demonic Bible by Magus Turk Susej, which is supposed to be, the I is supposed to be a J at the end, and it's by Alden Marshall. I've read this book once already, and I have to say that he broke the entire demonic Bible down, but basically just simply repeated a lot of things that Turk did in his book. The only difference is he actually broke it down, and I'm going to give you an example here. And let's see here. Let's go to page. Let's go. One of the biggest things is concerning human sacrifice. Okay. Now we all know what happened to Balg and the Yaka wedding and all that stuff, but I wanted you to hear it from a theistic, or in this case, a Luciferian Satanist perspective. Okay, and this is Alden's personal words here. The author affirms that it is a misconception that Satanists perform human sacrifice or torture. To perform such rituals, the magician or magician, depending on the spelling, should have firm control. Performing such acts draws on magical energy released by emotionally charged victims. This energy is then directed to an end. Satanists don't subscribe to Christian morality. Magical power can be raised through human sacrifice to enhance a ritual's power. The author also affirms that Satanists are superior and not all lives are equal. A Satanist's life is worth more than that of men. Okay? Now, this was a misconception in itself, and I'm going to kind of bring this up here. Let me see, where is it? Page 65 in this book here. He's got an entire, about a page and a quarter here. Okay? And he says, it has often been believed that Satanists perform human sacrifices and other criminal acts, such as molesting children or torturing animals. While this is rarely the case due to the obvious danger that such acts entail, anyone who has studied the nature of magic will understand the rationale behind such deviant practices. The magician who engages in this sort of activity is not a common sociopath or child molester who derives pleasure from torturing or killing an innocent victim. Rather, the magician in question draws on magical energy released by the emotionally charged victim and directs that energy. So you can see where they're co-aligning, but not in the same way. Now, personally, I do not condone that action, okay? Namely because I have never had to perform such acts, okay? I don't believe in such acts. Now, I disagree with Turk Susej and other things because this is a Christian, how should I say, a Christianity believed notion that Satanists do this. If you go back to the late 80s or early 90s, this is where this belief came into play, okay? And this is what we know today as the Satanic Panic, okay? The Satanic Panic is where every crime committed in America or worldwide was done by a Satanist, okay? Now, the FBI and local law enforcement have disproved this, okay? They disproved this. Now, I'm not saying that, and even they said that it is not common, but it does happen within certain cults. And again, I want to stress the difference between the occult, OCCULT, and that of a CULT cult. Okay? But remember that there are also Christian cults that do this, and I'm talking hillbilly inbreeding and monogamy, the whole kit and caboodle. Okay? So it's not just any other religion, it is in all of them. Okay? And people tend to take to heart what they're told and they're led to believe. Trust me on this, I know because I experienced something similar to this when I lived in Texas. It was my first, I've heard all the stories of religious discrimination and all that stuff, but it wasn't until I experienced it firsthand in Red River County, Texas, about 12 years ago, that you really have that wake up call. Okay, this is what they believe. They thought that a Satanist was there to recruit, that they were racist, that they were a whole wide range of things. They had all this belief, and it was the people, and that was the church's fear. The church's fear. So when the people come together and they start asking questions from the source, okay, the practitioner, then they realize, oh, we were led to believe that this was true. Okay, that was a lie. Guess what? There are those that are mentally disabled out there. Turk Susej makes this perfectly clear in that chapter, starting on page 65. Okay? He makes it perfectly clear that these acts have occurred in the past. He did not deny them. But he also goes in and states quite bluntly his belief in it. You don't find authors that are that blunt very often. Okay? Even if you go into Anton Zandler Bay's Bible, his Satanic Bible, you're going to see where you have the 11 Satanic Rules of the Earth, which states, and I quote, do not harm little children. Okay? There you go. Even Anton said this long before the Satanic Panic. So, and the one just before that, ironically, is do not harm non two-legged animals, meaning two or four, unless for defense or for food. Defense or for food. Okay? So I really wanted to stress that. Okay? But these are the two books. I thought this one was okay. I thought this one here was okay, but it could have been better. Okay? But the rituals and rites in this book are right up front. They are honest, earnest, and pure. And I highly recommend Turk Susej to anyone. Okay? And if you really want to get into demonology, that's the book to have. You don't have to go out and buy 50 books. All the demons you would find in the false hierarchy of demons, the Glacia, the Sacred Magic of Abramelin, the Mage, the Magus, you name it, Grimoire of Armadale, it's all right in here. Even Enochian Magic. It's a one book shop. So get into it. It's up to you. I'm just putting the source out there for you. I recommend this book. Okay? It's honest, it's pure. He talks purely about his practice, his belief. And outside of that, all I could say is get Alistair Natch's books too, because he's right up front and honest with his belief too. Brutally honest, to be precise. All right? So have a good one, and until next time.